Hi, welcome to our channel where we share the most intriguing stories. When master craftsman Alex Reynolds finally achieved his dream of owning a peaceful workshop on the edge of a quiet suburban neighborhood, he thought he'd left chaos behind. But his meticulous plans couldn't prepare him for the relentless wrath of the Silver Oaks HOA, determined to turn his dream into a nightmare. Alex Reynolds had always been a man of precision and foresight. For over 15 years, he had honed his craft as a furniture maker, transforming raw wood into pieces of art that blended functionality and beauty. However, the constant struggle of renting commercial spaces, rising rents, restrictive rules, and landlords' unpredictable whims pushed him to dream of owning a property where he could fully control his work environment. That dream became a reality when Alex discovered a 1.5-acre lot on the outskirts of a quiet suburban area in North Carolina. The property came with a sturdy 1,800-square-foot structure that was perfect for a workshop. What sealed the deal was its location, far enough from neighboring homes to avoid disturbing anyone, yet close enough to attract clients from nearby neighborhoods. It was an ideal setup for someone who valued both independence and community connections. Alex didn't stop at just buying the property. He meticulously planned every detail of his new workspace. He retrofitted the workshop with state-of-the-art noise suppression technology, ensuring that even the loudest machinery wouldn't carry its sound beyond his lot. He also designed and constructed 2 separate parking areas, one for his clients, with space for 6 vehicles, and a second, more secluded zone specifically for deliveries. He wanted to ensure a smooth workflow, free from logistical hiccups that could delay projects. The approvals and permits for the upgrades weren't easy to secure, but Alex's thoroughness paid off. Local authorities appreciated his detailed plans, and neighbors seemed content, knowing he had gone the extra mile to prevent any inconvenience to them. Over the course of a year, Alex transformed the property into a well-oiled operation. The workshop quickly became the lifeblood of Alex's business. From custom dining tables to intricate cabinetry, his reputation as a master craftsman grew steadily, drawing in clients from across the state. Many were impressed not only by his work, but by the tranquil, organized environment he had cultivated. For Alex, everything seemed to be falling into place. However, trouble began to brew when the residents of Silver Oaks, a gated community bordering Alex's property, started paying closer attention to his operations. Silver Oaks was governed by a homeowners association, HOA, notorious for its strict enforcement of rules and its overreaching attempts to control anything that might disrupt their carefully curated image of suburban perfection. The HOA president, Becky Randolph, took it upon herself to scrutinize Alex's property. Initially, it was just passive observations. Becky would linger by the fence line, peering into Alex's lot, or she'd drive by slowly, taking mental notes. But soon, her interest turned into action. Becky began questioning Alex's presence near Silver Oaks, even though his property wasn't part of the HOA's jurisdiction. For her, the idea of a bustling workshop so close to their quiet enclave was an eyesore, regardless of its legality. To Alex, these subtle intrusions seemed harmless at first. He assumed Becky's curiosity would fade once she realized his operations didn't affect their neighborhood. Little did he know, this was only the beginning of a conflict that would escalate far beyond his expectations. The first signs of real trouble emerged one sunny morning when Alex stepped outside to find a silver SUV parked squarely in the middle of his client parking area. Confused, he glanced around, hoping to see someone who might be retrieving the vehicle. The area was empty. Annoyed but determined to keep things professional, Alex walked over to the gated entrance of Silver Oaks and rang the call button. Moments later, Becky Randolph answered, her voice carrying its usual air of authority. "Yes, who is this?" "This is Alex Reynolds," he replied. "It seems someone from your community has parked their car on my property. Could you help me locate the owner?" Becky's tone shifted immediately. "Oh, that's probably one of the residents. They were likely using it temporarily. It's not a big deal, Alex." Alex kept his calm. "It is a big deal. This is private property, and I need the space for clients." Becky sighed audibly. "I'll see if I can figure it out. But honestly, Alex, it might be easier for you to work around it." The car was eventually moved later that day, but the incident left a sour taste in Alex's mouth. Over the next few weeks, similar events began occurring with unsettling frequency. Cars from Silver Oaks would appear in his parking lot, often without explanation. Sometimes they blocked client vehicles, and on one occasion, a delivery truck had to park on the street because of the unauthorized cars. Alex soon realized these weren't accidents. He confronted Becky directly during their next interaction. "Becky, this has gone too far," he said firmly. "I've had at least half a dozen cars from Silver Oaks parked here without permission. I've been patient, but this is my business, and I can't afford these disruptions." Becky didn't flinch. "Alex, you've benefited from being so close to our community. Many of us think it's only fair that you give back, whether it's by offering parking or reducing the noise." "Fair?" Alex's voice rose slightly. "I'm not part of your HOA. This is private property. I've gone out of my way to ensure I don't disturb anyone here." Becky smirked. "Well, some of us disagree. And until we come to an understanding, don't expect us to move our vehicles without compensation." That was the tipping point. Alex immediately contacted the local police and a towing company. By the end of the day, every unauthorized vehicle was removed, and their owners were hit with fines for trespassing. Becky and her group of supporters were livid. They stormed to Alex's workshop later that evening, shouting insults and accusing him of being an inconsiderate neighbor. Alex stood his ground, calmly explaining that the law was on his side. The situation escalated further when Alex arrived one morning to prepare for a major delivery of $10,000 worth of specialty wood, only to find his supplier's designated parking area blocked by an old rusted trailer. The vehicle was strategically placed to prevent any unloading, its bulk taking up the entire lot. Alex felt his blood boil as he realized what was happening. He called the police once again, but without direct evidence of who placed the trailer, the officers could only arrange for its removal. The process took hours, during which Alex missed the delivery window and had to reschedule with his supplier. The delay not only cost him valuable time, but also jeopardized a critical deadline for one of his most important clients. It was clear to Alex that these actions weren't random acts of frustration, but a calculated effort by Becky and the HOA to undermine his business. Deciding enough was enough, he installed high-resolution security cameras across his property, ensuring every corner was monitored. The cameras proved to be a turning point. Within days, they captured members of the HOA dumping garbage bags onto his parking lot in the middle of the night. One clip showed a man Alex recognized as Doug Randolph, Becky's husband, loosening the screws on one of the workshop's outdoor lights. Armed with video evidence, Alex filed a formal complaint with the police. Officers visited Doug at his home, issuing him a warning for property tampering and vandalism. Becky's outrage reached a fever pitch. She began rallying other HOA members, spreading rumors that Alex was planning to industrialize the neighborhood and turn it into a commercial hub. The hostility grew, with HOA members parking cars deliberately in ways that obstructed access to Alex's workshop, shouting insults whenever they passed by, and even leaving anonymous notes demanding that he comply with community standards. But with every move they made, Alex grew more determined. The tipping point came one chilly evening when Alex's security system alerted him to suspicious activity. Checking his phone, he saw a grainy live feed of two individuals near his delivery zone. They were dragging what looked like paint buckets toward the parking area. Alex immediately called the police while quietly stepping outside with his phone in hand to record a second angle of the vandalism in progress. When officers arrived minutes later, they caught the culprits red-handed. One of them was Doug Randolph, Becky's husband, and the other was a younger man Alex didn't recognize. Both were attempting to pour paint across the parking lot and the main entry path to Alex's workshop. The officers arrested them on the spot, charging them with attempted vandalism. Alex's video evidence left no room for denials. The next morning, Alex discovered the backlash. Flyers had been distributed throughout the Silver Oaks neighborhood, labeling him a menace to the community and accusing him of exploiting the kindness of the HOA. The language was inflammatory, warning residents that Alex's workshop would bring down property values and disrupt the neighborhood's serenity. To counter this, Alex posted a statement online, including snippets of the security footage and a concise explanation of the ongoing harassment. His video went viral in local circles, rallying support from neighbors outside of Silver Oaks and even attracting the attention of local media. The HOA was furious, Becky attempted to escalate the situation by filing a complaint with the municipal government, claiming that Alex was violating zoning laws and operating illegally. She also accused him of installing security cameras that invaded her community's privacy. However, when city inspectors arrived to investigate, they found everything in order. Alex's permits, zoning paperwork, and security camera placements were all perfectly compliant with the law. The inspectors even commended him for his meticulous documentation. The situation took a darker turn 1 week later. Alex awoke to find shattered glass on his workshop floor. Someone had broken one of the windows during the night. Checking the security footage, he discovered that it was Doug's teenage nephew, caught on camera hurling a rock before running back toward Silver Oaks. Alex wasted no time reporting the incident, and within hours, police officers were at the Randolph residence. The boy admitted his guilt under questioning, and Doug's family faced additional legal consequences. Despite the mounting pressure, Becky refused to back down. She began holding late-night meetings with a core group of HOA members, devising increasingly desperate strategies to force Alex out. These included falsely reporting him to environmental agencies, claiming he was improperly disposing of wood waste, and spreading fabricated stories about Alex's supposed aggression toward Silver Oaks residents. Then came the boldest move yet. One evening, a work crew showed up unannounced on Alex's property, claiming they'd been hired by the HOA to restore the area to community standards. Alex was stunned as the crew began measuring his parking spaces and unloading tools. "What are you doing?" Alex demanded, stepping out of his workshop. The foreman, a burly man holding a clipboard, replied, "We're here under HOA orders to bring this lot into compliance." They said the property owner finally agreed. Alex pulled out his phone, recording everything. "This is private property, and I've agreed to nothing. You're trespassing. Leave immediately." The foreman hesitated, realizing the situation wasn't as described by his employers. Alex's call to the police ensured their quick departure, but the message was clear. The HOA was willing to fabricate agreements and weaponize contractors to disrupt his business. With his patience exhausted, Alex decided to escalate his response. He compiled every piece of evidence: video footage, police reports, and documentation of damages. His lawyer drafted a cease and desist letter explicitly naming Becky, Doug, and other prominent HOA members as responsible parties. The letter demanded immediate cessation of all harassment and restitution for damages caused by their actions. When the letter was delivered, Becky's reaction was explosive. She stormed over to Alex's property demanding an explanation. "This is ridiculous," she yelled, her face red with fury. "You think you can bully us into silence? This is our community, and we won't let you ruin it." Alex remained calm. "The evidence is all there, Becky. This isn't bullying, it's holding you accountable. Keep this up, and I'll see you in court." True to her nature, Becky doubled down. She organized another HOA meeting where she declared war on Alex's workshop, vowing to use every resource at her disposal to restore order to Silver Oaks. What she didn't anticipate was how her aggressive tactics would begin to alienate her own supporters. Many HOA members were growing weary of the escalating conflict and fearful of the potential legal repercussions. Alex, meanwhile, prepared for the inevitable. The confrontation had reached its peak, and he knew it was only a matter of time before Becky and her allies pushed too far, sealing their fate. The fallout from Alex's cease and desist letter sent shockwaves through Silver Oaks. While Becky and her closest allies tried to maintain their aggressive stance, cracks began to form in the HOA's united front. Some members who had initially supported Becky's crusade grew wary of the legal implications. Rumors of potential lawsuits and personal liability made even the most fervent backers question their involvement. The final blow came when the cease and desist letter was accompanied by a formal legal complaint filed by Alex's attorney. This complaint included every documented act of harassment, the unauthorized parking, the vandalism, the fake work crew, and even the fabricated zoning violations. Attached were police reports, security footage, and sworn statements from Alex and neutral witnesses, painting a damning picture of the HOA's sustained campaign against him. Becky's attempts to downplay the situation fell flat. The evidence was undeniable, and the authorities took notice. The county prosecutor's office opened an investigation into the HOA's actions, focusing specifically on the forged documents Becky had submitted to claim Alex's property was under their jurisdiction. A week later, police arrived at Becky's home with a warrant. The investigation revealed that Becky had falsified records, attempting to retroactively include Alex's property within Silver Oaks' boundaries. This was a clear-cut case of fraud, and Becky was arrested on charges of forgery and filing false documents. News of her arrest spread quickly, leaving the once dominant HOA president humiliated. With Becky facing criminal charges, the remaining HOA leadership scrambled to distance themselves from her. They issued a public statement claiming they were unaware of Becky's illegal actions and insisted they had no involvement in the harassment campaign. However, this didn't absolve them of responsibility. Alex's legal team argued that the HOA as an entity was complicit, as it had failed to rein in Becky's actions and had, in some cases, actively supported them. In court, the judge sided with Alex, condemning the HOA's behavior as an egregious abuse of power. The ruling required the HOA to pay Alex $75,000 in damages, covering the costs of repairs, missed business opportunities, and legal fees. Additionally, the HOA was ordered to formally apologize and issue a public correction to their earlier claims about Alex's workshop. Becky's punishment didn't stop at financial reparations. She was convicted of forgery and sentenced to 200 hours of community service, alongside a substantial personal fine. The HOA was also mandated to undergo a complete restructuring, with new rules introduced to prevent such abuses in the future. For Alex, the victory was bittersweet. The months of harassment and sabotage had taken their toll, both financially and emotionally. However, the court's decision validated his efforts to stand his ground. He felt a deep sense of relief, knowing that his rights had been upheld and that the HOA's overreach had been exposed. The community's response was equally significant. Residents of Silver Oaks, many of whom had been unaware of the full extent of Becky's actions, began questioning the HOA's role in their lives. Calls for reform grew louder, and a vote to remove the remaining board members was overwhelmingly approved. Becky and her family, now pariahs within the neighborhood, sold their house and moved out of state. The once proud HOA president left Silver Oaks in disgrace, her legacy tarnished by her own hubris. Meanwhile, Alex focused on rebuilding. With his legal battle behind him, he invested in further upgrades to his workshop, adding more security measures and improving the parking facilities. He also took steps to reconnect with his broader community, using his experience to help other small business owners navigate similar challenges. The settlement wasn't just a personal victory for Alex. It became a symbol of resilience and the importance of standing up to abuses of power. For the first time in months, Alex felt a sense of peace on his property, knowing that he had reclaimed his space and reputation. With Becky removed from power and the HOA restructured, life in Silver Oaks began to shift. The once rigid, oppressive atmosphere in the community gave way to a quieter, more cooperative environment. New board members were elected, many of whom campaigned on promises to focus on genuine community building rather than enforcing arbitrary rules. Residents felt freer, and the neighborhood began to rebuild its reputation. For Alex, the resolution marked the end of one battle but the start of new opportunities. He used part of the settlement money to expand his workshop, adding a dedicated showroom where clients could view samples of his work. His reputation as someone who had stood firm in the face of adversity brought in a wave of new business, including several referrals from residents of Silver Oaks who wanted to distance themselves from Becky's legacy. But the experience left its mark. Alex remained cautious, maintaining an emotional and physical boundary with Silver Oaks. Though some neighbors attempted to reach out with gestures of goodwill, Alex kept his interactions professional, wary of opening himself up to new conflicts. His focus remained on his business and the peaceful environment he had worked so hard to protect. One afternoon, several months after the court case, Alex received an unexpected email. It was from Doug Randolph, Becky's husband. The tone was surprisingly humble. Doug apologized for his role in the harassment, acknowledging that his actions were fueled by his wife's influence and his own failure to stand up to her. He expressed regret for the damage they had caused Alex and offered to meet in person to discuss how they could make further amends. Alex read the email carefully, weighing his options. Though Doug's apology seemed genuine, Alex's resolve remained firm. He politely declined the offer, responding that while he appreciated the sentiment, he wasn't interested in revisiting the past. The email exchange ended there, leaving Alex confident in his decision to maintain his boundaries. Despite Alex's refusal to reconcile directly, the fallout from Becky's actions had a lasting impact on the Randolph family. Doug and his children eventually moved out of state, seeking a fresh start. Word reached Alex through mutual acquaintances that Doug had joined a mediation program, volunteering to help resolve disputes between neighbors in other communities, a clear sign that lessons had been learned, even if it was too late to undo the damage in Silver Oaks. For Alex, the experience reinforced the importance of setting boundaries and defending them. He often reflected on the journey, not with bitterness, but with a quiet pride that he had stood firm and come out stronger. The workshop, now a symbol of his resilience, thrived more than ever. Every finished project and satisfied client was a testament to his determination to create something meaningful, even in the face of adversity. Silver Oaks, too, had changed. The new HOA board focused on fostering goodwill rather than enforcing control, hosting community events like block parties and volunteer days. While Alex chose not to attend, he couldn't help but notice the transformation as he watched from the quiet comfort of his workshop. Though Alex remained resolute in not forgiving Becky, he found peace in knowing the conflict had spurred broader changes for the better. The scars of the battle were still there, but they were a reminder of what he had achieved and how far he had come. The ordeal with the Silver Oaks HOA was a turning point for Alex Reynolds, shaping not only his business, but his perspective on resilience and community. What began as a fight to protect his property turned into a broader lesson about the importance of standing firm against abuse and overreach. His workshop, once at the center of a bitter conflict, now stood as a beacon of success. The improvements he had made, both functional and aesthetic, attracted clients from across the state, solidifying his reputation as a master craftsman. The parking lot was now bustling with activity, and his showroom showcased the finest pieces he had ever created. For Alex, the victory wasn't just in the legal settlement or the HOA's restructuring. It was in reclaiming his peace and proving that perseverance, backed by preparation and the law, could overcome even the most entrenched opposition. He remained a quiet but firm advocate for property rights, often sharing his story at local business seminars to inspire others to protect what was theirs. Silver Oaks, too, had changed. The HOA, once notorious for its oppressive control, had shifted its focus to genuine community building. While Alex chose to maintain his distance, he occasionally saw signs of the neighborhood's transformation, like children playing freely in the park or neighbors working together on shared projects. Though Alex would never forgive Becky or fully forget the hardship he endured, he took solace in knowing the conflict had brought lasting reform to the community and clarity to his own values. As he looked out over his property, his hard-earned sanctuary of creativity and peace, Alex felt an unshakable sense of satisfaction. The lessons he had learned were etched into every corner of his workshop. Stand your ground, document everything, and never compromise your principles. For Alex, the future was bright, and the battles of the past only made his success shine brighter.